Okay, so a lovely introduction for Samantha. Great questions. Are you a listener or a talker? Samantha said, definitely a listener. When you were a child, what was your biggest dream? Well, her biggest dream was become a pediatrician with a piano in every room so she could cheer patients by playing Disney music for them. I love that. If she could have an endless supply of food, what would it be? Homemade brownies. Is it ever okay to waste time? Samantha believes yes, wasting time is a point of view and perspective. If time is spent with family, developing relationships, or on self improvement, she believes that focusing on other priorities rather than, she believes that is focusing on other priorities rather than wasting time. Using one word to name something that drives her success, and that's relationships. Does she prefer cardio or weightlifting? Definitely cardio. Starting the day with a run always puts her in a great mood. And her favorite family tradition is spending a week at Cannon Beach in the summer.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Teresa. So I'm going to go ahead and start my timer so I keep track. So again, as promised, today will be a little bit different. I'll spend the first half sharing a little bit about our business, how we work with families and individuals, and might be a service and resource to you or individuals you know. And then I'll share a little bit of a personal story, what drives me internally, and we'll wrap up sharing how that really ties with financial planning and the business that I am working on building. So if you all can let me know once you see the PowerPoint in front of you. All right, beautiful. So Mainsail Financial Group is the firm I'm with. We're an independent firm and our broker dealer is Commonwealth Financial Network. So I was sharing with Crystal last week that we have that independent financial firm feel, but the resources of a very large firm behind us. So fantastic setup. Adam Lapes and Brandon Steele are some of the co-founders. And of course, I am with the firm as well. Oh, I'm so sorry, wrong page. Oops, probably helpful to start from the beginning. Okay, so a couple retirement considerations or really the 6 areas of financial planning. Those of you who have been in the group for a while, we've walked through this a couple times, but I figured for our guests, Crystal and Robert this morning, it'd be helpful to have an idea of what we look at. So we really view financial planning from a goal-based perspective. And so we start with one's current financial position. That's a snapshot of your current personal income statement and personal balance sheet. It's a great opportunity to get an idea of what's our starting place. We also help with risk management. Crystal and I may be able to tag team on this. Risk management includes insurance. Think of life insurance, disability. If you're a business owner, making sure that you have protection for your employees is also extremely important, especially with COVID and an ever-changing environment. Having an emergency reserve and just essentially being prepared for the unexpected is what this part of financial planning includes. Wealth management, that includes retirement assets, 401ks, 403bs, IRAs, also includes real estate. Often people's biggest asset is their home. And so to not include one's equity is I guess in our opinion, just an inaccurate representation of someone's life. Rental properties are a fantastic strategy as well. So I own a duplex down in Tacoma. So as an advisor who, yes, does believe in the stock market and investments, I also think having real estate and passive sources of income is incredibly valuable to help reach your goals. We also help with tax planning. This is something I have to be a little bit clear on. We're not accountants, we're not CPAs. So tax planning in our world are tax efficient strategies. So what that means is how do we assess cash flow today? What do we expect it to be in the future? And is there anything we can be doing or are there resources that would be useful to either defer taxes or perhaps build a pile or sort of a bucket of tax-free dollars for the future? So with financial planning, the name of the game is how do you build flexibility? So tax planning is incredibly important with that. Retirement planning, retirement planning looks a little bit different depending on who you talk to. For some people, it's I want to work till age 65, 67 and never work another hour. Other people, specifically in the tech field, it's, I want to work really hard for the next 5 to 10 years. Then I want to do my own startup or maybe pursue a more philanthropic goal. So retirement planning has changed. It's not so much age-based, it's when are you anticipating, or perhaps when would you like the transition in your life? How can we assess your cash flow today, your cash flow in the future? And those phases are called the distribution phase. So what do you need when you do retire or do not have a consistent source of income? And what should you be doing today or during the accumulation phase? Really the planning piece. And then the sixth and final area we talk about is estate planning. So in a nutshell, estate planning is making sure all the stuff you've worked really hard for in life often goes to a loved one, maybe children, nieces, nephews, or a charity you really believe in. So when we say goal-based planning, it's really from start to finish, making sure that all the actions and decisions taken align with what's important to you. I thought I would share a little bit in terms of the areas we're able to help in or what we look at. And this is inspired by Tina Mitchell's One Time Your Business. I am in the process of putting a one-pager together in terms of what are the services we provide, and hopefully we'll have this resource to you soon. So obviously comprehensive financial planning. It's building a plan or a roadmap to get you from point A to point B based on the resources you have and your priorities. Asset management, we can help with what stocks should you be investing in, what's an appropriate portfolio for you, and it ties into risk assessment as well. Rate of return, investments, you need to be comfortable with the level of risk you're taking on, and you also need to be educated of what is your exposure, what's the upside, but what's also the downside. Special needs planning. Adam Leibson, one of our co-founders, he is a specialist in this area. So if there are families who perhaps have a child that maybe has autism or some learning disability, or even for elderly parents, my own father right now is going through dementia. It's something where special needs scenarios can often be not only a very difficult time for families and a time of adjustment, but it can be a significant financial burden. So it's how do we make sure those individuals are taken care of? And Crystal also shared with me that this is something that she focuses on as well. So I'm sure we'll be able to learn a little bit more about that later. Business owners. So this is something where if you want to have an LLC, a sole proprietorship, what type of business model makes sense for you? We can help with that strategy. And also as a business owner, you have many resources that just W-2 employees do not. So how can you get ahead a little bit or use some of the perhaps tax write-offs that are included with being a business owner to your benefit? Any life change, we can be a huge resource for people getting married, divorced, a new baby, a grandparent passing away, maybe graduating college, changing jobs. All of those are scenarios where it's prudent or, will help someone to really take an inventory of where they're at, what variables are changing, and how can you prepare for the future. And then the last one, I'm preparing for retirement. Talked about that a little bit earlier already. Retirement looks different for everybody, but ultimately it's how do we prepare for a transition in life. So that is just a quick snapshot of what we do. For the next few minutes, I'd love to share a little bit of a personal story with you. So here on the next slide are a couple pictures of the very, the very beginning of my life. And you may notice I'll get a little bit emotional throughout this process, but it means a lot to me. And so Crystal has heard this already, but something that has spoken to my heart and why I wanted to share this in the group is why I'm in this industry and what I'm driven by. So I think I shared with you all, I originally thought I wanted to be a financial advisor because I had a taste of the corporate world or corporate finance world. Didn't really like crunching numbers for the sake of crunching numbers. It didn't motivate me. And so I said, okay, maybe I'll do something on the more personal side. Quantitative skills are still very important, but a lot of what I do is building relationships and getting to know people. Our marketing specialist, John Haskins, actually asked me the question of why am I in the industry a couple of weeks ago. And this time my answer was a bit different. So as I actually thought about it, I noticed that I am actually driven by scarcity to some extent. And what I mean by that is I always want to make sure I'm okay, my husband's okay, my family's okay, and by extension, my family, the Mainsail, and our clients. And where did that come from? I think it came from my adoption. So I was actually born in China. I was adopted at the age of 3. So these pictures you're seeing are really the first pictures that were taken when I was introduced to my family. Something that you'll see here is I have a bag of crackers. And so if you looked at that bag of crackers, they were crumbs. They were an absolute mess if I opened them, but I was extremely malnourished. And when we talk about scarcity, food was not abundant. And so that absolutely has a play in my thought process today. Now, my experience in China, I was in a facility that housed many groups of people, babies, toddlers, adults who have physical or mental impairments, teenage children. And so I was clearly loved. It was not a matter of being neglected or abandoned. And in fact, the orphanage caretakers told my parents she's very strong-willed, and you could tell they were very sad to see me go. And so it's interesting having the experience of being loved but not having some of the, I guess, hierarchy of needs, just food, shelter, and some of the things you need in order to be able to function. And so, as a very young child, I learned how to operate in an environment where, maybe I would go to bed hungry. Maybe I wouldn't know where the next meal was coming from, but I was surrounded by love, and I was taught that even if you don't have a lot, you can still care for others and make them a priority. So one of the fears I have being a financial advisor is, am I making a difference? And am I doing everything I can to make sure my clients are taken care of? So part of me believes there can be tremendous amounts of goods in our industry. A piece that's very frustrating is I think it's very easy to present something inaccurately or in a misleading way. And so something that drives me is to help put my clients in a position that leads them up for success. They actually know the benefits and the costs, not just the good parts of our strategy. And I am always reflecting on the advice that is being given and actually putting myself in their shoes to see, is this something that would lead me to avoid a situation of scarcity in the future? When I look back, I realize that my journey has taken me from not necessarily knowing where the next meal was coming from to helping support others prepare for their future. So, an exciting piece is not only am I working on my own future for the business, I'm also working on it personally, and it's looking bright and exciting. On the horizon, I may adopt my own child. We are potentially interested in foster care, and I am so thankful to have the opportunity to be in an industry and sort of have my job include building relationships and being a part of other people's lives, whether it's they're changing a career, they're starting a family, they're helping parents, they're retiring, all the exciting parts of life. So it's so rewarding to help individuals and families plan for their bright moments and also help them through the struggling times and being able to relate in a way that actually comes from care rather than just saying you understand. So with that being said, I know I have about 30 seconds left. If there are any questions, I think we might have time for one, but if there aren't any, thank you so much for listening.